I'm Rhea Santos, 34, born in El Paso, sharpened in Austin. By day, I produce other people's stories. By night, I chase mine. Austin sounds like guitar strings and latte steam. My apartment sits above a taco truck that opens at 6 a.m., and the first hiss of the griddle is my alarm. I like the city best before it brushes its hair, when the bats are gone and the sky is pink like a shy confession. I run a podcast called The Loud Part. It's a show where people tell the thing they swore they'd never say out loud. Whistleblowers, estranged daughters, chefs who hate food. My voice has always been a soft instrument. Warm, textured, a little raspy. I never wanted to be the face. I wanted to be the frequency. Which is why I asked for a co-host last year when the show started taking off. Enter Mara Vale. Mara was a radio darling, bright blonde bob, lipstick that meant business, a laugh like it was mic'd by God. We met at a live panel at the Long Center, green room too cold, both of us cupping paper coffees like survival kits. She said, "You've got heat, Rhea. Let me help you hold it." We signed a simple agreement, homegrown and hopeful. Split everything 50-50, decisions by mutual consent, keep the show's soul intact. We looked at each other across my kitchen table, where we'd slid the papers, and we said it together. No surprises. That spring was feverish. We recorded at my studio, a brick-walled, plant-choked space off South Congress, where the AC clicked like a metronome. Mara's on-air timing was undeniable. My edits were surgical. Together, we felt like a chord you didn't know you needed until you heard it. Our sponsors piled up Atlas mattresses, a meal kit with too many exclamation points, a fintech app that would absolutely get subpoenaed someday. I did the invoices. Mara did the ad reads. It worked. It worked so well that I forgot to be suspicious. The first weird thing was small, like a paper cut you don't notice until it hits lemon juice. Atlas sent a note addressed only to Mara. Love the new direction. New direction? I brushed it off. Sometimes brands have interns, and interns have tunnel vision. I made a mental note to reply from the main account and moved on. The second weird thing was midnight. I was exporting episode 62, The Daughter Who Didn't Forgive, while the taco truck simmered down outside. The waveform looked strange. Spiky in places I remembered smoothing. I soloed the track and hit play. Mara's voice filled the room, sunny as a Sunday. "Hey, it's Mara with the loud part today, a story about letting go." I frowned. I'd recorded the intro. We'd agreed I would, after we tested and decided my tone fit better with confessional episodes. Maybe I misnamed the file, I muttered. I scrubbed forward. My questions were gone, replaced by Mara's. Some of my lines were there, but they were chopped, rearranged, turning curiosity into consent. I'd asked the guest, "When did you realize love wasn't enough?" In the cut, it had become, "Love wasn't enough." My stomach did that slow elevator drop. I pulled up the project history. A new user had opened the session in the cloud an hour after I'd signed off last night. Username, mvale. I stared at the screen until the pixels swam. Then I called Mara. She answered on the third ring, smooth as vinyl. "Babe, I'm literally walking into a spin class. Can I call you later?" You re-edited the episode. A beat. Then, lighter. I sanded it. You know how you can get precious with breath sounds. You replaced my intro and cut my questions. She laughed, soft, breathy, practiced. "Rhea, our listeners don't care who asks the questions. They care about the story. That's not the agreement. The agreement is the show being good." A door hissed in her background. Music swelled. "Look, you're brilliant at making the sausage. I'm brilliant at plating it. Trust me." The call ended to the tinny slam of a pop remix. I stood alone with the after sound, hands cooling around a coffee I'd forgotten to drink. Trust me. I slept badly, dreamed in glitchy waveforms, woke to a flood of push notifications. New episode is so tight. Mara really carrying the show lately. Love this solo vibe. Solo? I opened our RSS. Episode 62 had gone live without my approval. The show notes credited host, Mara Vale, and producer, Team. Team? I checked the sponsor dashboard. Atlas had posted the episode on their brand page, tagging Mara individually. Their caption said, "Proud to support Mara's vision." I called Atlas. The rep, cheerful and caffeinated, said, "Oh, we were thrilled when Mara pitched the pivot. The solo direction tests better with brand recall." "Pivot?" I asked, mouth dry. "What pivot?" "Shorter intros, no interruptions, a single voice. So, like this." I hung up before I said something that would follow me into court. Then I opened our shared drive. There was a new folder labeled Mara Vision. Inside, alternate intros with my voice stripped, cleaned versions of old episodes with my questions removed, decks for sponsors titled The Loud Part 2, all in Mara's font, with photos of her laughing into the mic like it was flirting back. My heart didn't just sink, it calcified. I clicked a legal tab. An uploaded contract, signed by Atlas and Mara Vale Productions, for exclusive ad reads, for The Loud Part. My show? My name on the LLC. My idea born at a bus stop in August heat, when I wrote the title on a napkin with sweaty ink. My phone lit up again. Mara. I answered because I needed to hear what honesty sounded like. "Rhea," she said, voice low, soothing, like you talk to a stray dog. "I should have looped you in." Timing got weird. "The sponsors need clarity and you've been stretched thin." "Stretched thin," I repeated, like it was a flavor I didn't remember ordering. "You get stuck in the weeds," she said gently. "I'm thinking big picture. We can both win if we let go of ego." Ego. The word crackled like a fuse. "I have a contract in front of me," I said. "It's between Atlas and Mara Vale Productions. It uses my show's name." She sighed. "The name is fluid, babe. People associate it with a voice now. That's not something you can trademark." "I already did." Silence. Then a bright, false laugh. "Oh, honey, you filed a state trademark. I filed federal last week. Faster, cleaner. My lawyers said it would simplify the sponsor pipeline." My heart turned to a metronome, unwilling, relentless. "You filed to take my show." "I filed to protect our show," she said. "And to protect it, one captain has to steer. It's cleaner for contracts. You can be EP. We'll bump your rate." My mouth opened around a dozen words: betrayal, theft, audacity, and closed on none of them. EP. Bump my rate. Like I could be bought with my own bones. I went to the window. Below, the taco truck had its shutters up. The cook flipped tortillas in a rhythm that steadied me. I said very calmly, "Pull episode 62. She smiled through the line. I could hear it. "I can't. It's already charting, and tiny heads up, I'm dropping a press release at noon. The Loud Part, with Mara Vale. Cleaner branding." My body made a decision before my mind did. Fight back. When we hung up, the apartment felt both too small and too loud. I paced between the window and the desk, trying to breathe around the weight in my chest. I opened a new document and typed like I was bleeding through my fingers. I listed everything that was mine: the LLC articles, the Texas state trademark receipt, the raw files stored under my personal account, the domain I'd bought 2 summers ago. When the name came to me with the cicadas, my eyes stung, not from screens, from humiliation. Because it wasn't just a career thing. It was personal. Mara had been at my birthday. She'd held my dog when she was spayed, posted a photo with a caption about anti-duty. We'd been a we. It was a scalpel, realizing she'd only ever been measuring where to cut. The clock ticked past 11. The press release would hit at noon. I had 59 minutes to stop a public beheading. I opened our shared Slack. There was a private channel I'd never seen. Number Solo Vision, with Mara, 2 editors she'd poached from radio, and a PR person named Chase. The pinned message: "No leaks. Rhea is risk-averse. We're moving fast." I wanted to scream. Instead, I scrolled. Chase had drafted a statement. "After months of piloting, we're formalizing what listeners already love. Mara's singular voice at the helm." There was a line about me, too. "Founding producer Rhea Santos will continue as an executive producer." Executive producer of my own erasure. I closed Slack and opened the raw folder. There, like a miracle, were the behind-the-scenes pickups, our pre-roll chats, our mic checks, the messy throat clears, and honest flubs. Mara teasing guests for crying too early. Mara calling one source, dead air. Mara saying, let's make this about me in the intro. It converts. If I released these, I'd be nuclear. No brand likes the smell of smoke. But I didn't feel gentle anymore. I dragged 3 files to a new timeline. I layered the truth. I typed a caption in the upload window. What solo vision really sounds like. My finger hovered over publish. I could almost feel the city breathe at my window, hear the traffic build, taste the metallic edge of noon. Then my phone buzzed. Email, subject, cease and desist. From Chase Vertical Bar Veil PR. I opened it and read the first line. Effective immediately. You are ordered to refrain from distributing any content bearing the mark the loud part, or any derivative. Failure to comply will result in immediate legal action and notification to all brand partners. My throat closed. The upload bar was at 12%. The press release would land in 12 minutes. And a legal war had just begun. I looked at the publish button. I looked at the clock. And in that suspended, breathless moment, my front door handle turned. Slowly, silently, like someone who believed they already owned the place. The handle clicked again, once, twice. Then the door swung open like it was stage direction. Mara? I said, already knowing. Of course it was Mara. She stepped in without knocking, leather jacket, sunglasses, that impossible calm that only liars and TV anchors can keep on command. Her phone was in her hand, camera side down. Recording, always recording. Relax, she said, closing the door behind her. I texted, you didn't answer. I was busy getting sued, I said, pushing my laptop screen down halfway, like I could shield the upload with my body. She smiled that PR smile, one corner of her mouth just slightly higher, like the expression had been workshopped. Chase moves fast, he's protective. Protective, I snapped. You're stealing my work. She sighed, took off her sunglasses, placed them gently on my table, an unspoken cue that she'd stay a while. Rhea, don't do this. Don't make it ugly. It already is. It already is. I felt my pulse in my palms. My laptop fan whirred harder. The upload bar was at 67%. Mara tilted her head. You're posting something? Behind the scenes. The real story. Her eyes sharpened just a little. Delete it. No. Then I'll make you. I stood up so fast my chair hit the wall. Try. For a full 5 seconds, we just stared at each other, 2 halves of a broken sentence. Outside, the taco truck's exhaust drifted in, hot and greasy. The world still turning while mine was fracturing. Then, just as quick as she'd flared, Mara exhaled, hands up in mock surrender. Fine, she said. You want to fight? Do it in court. But remember, when sponsors see chaos, they pull. You'll lose everything before you get to explain. I almost said I'd rather lose everything than be erased. But she already knew that, and she was counting on it. Get out, I whispered. She left. Just like that, no door slam, no dramatic pause. Just walked out, the same way she'd walked into my show. Uninvited but unstoppable. When the latch clicked, I looked back at my screen. Upload complete. 12 p.m. The same minute her press release went live. The first hour was silence. Then, chaos. My inbox blew up. Listeners, sponsors, reporters. Half of them confused, half of them furious, all of them watching. The clip went viral in less than a day. Mara's laughter. Let's make this about me in the intro. It converts, looped under the hashtag number Loudgate. Someone remixed it into a TikTok sound. Another dug up screenshots from her motivational tweets about teamwork. The internet doesn't like thieves, at least not when they're caught mid-bite. By evening, Atlas had paused partnership pending investigation. Mara posted an iPhone notes apology that started with, "I'm heartbroken by the miscommunication," a classic non-apology structure. I didn't post anything else. I didn't have to. The truth was louder than I'd planned. But winning the crowd didn't fix the wreckage behind the scenes. By Friday, my studio lease was on hold, half the bills tied to sponsor payments that were now frozen. Lawyers started circling like buzzards with billing codes. That night, I sat on my couch, laptop dim, the city outside glowing with 1,000 other people's stories. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollow, like the sound after applause fades. I poured wine, let the stem slip through my fingers until it steadied me. Then I hit record. "Hey, it's Rhea," I said quietly. "No theme music tonight, just me." I paused. This week, someone I trusted took something that wasn't hers. She said people don't care who asks the questions, just who tells the story. Maybe she's right. But this is mine. I didn't script it, I just talked. About betrayal, about creative theft, about the weird intimacy of being stabbed by someone who knows where your ribs are softest. And for the first time in days, my voice didn't shake. When I posted it, I titled it Episode 63, Cut Open. Within hours, comments poured in, other creators, producers, assistants, even small podcasters who'd been silenced by bigger names. They said, "Tell it all." They said, "We've been there." They said, "Make noise." So I did. The next morning, I got an email from a name I didn't recognize. June@echoinclaw.com. Subject line, "We should talk." June Park, IP attorney, former entertainment litigator, and apparently a podcast junkie. We met that afternoon at a cafe near Zilker, the air smelling like wet leaves and ambition. She didn't waste time. "Rhea, you have more leverage than you think," she said, flipping open a tablet. "Mara's federal trademark is under review. Yours predates hers. She tried to file under a fraudulent claim of sole authorship. She said her lawyers said it was cleaner." June smirked. "Her lawyers are about to get very messy." I stared at her. "So, I can fight this?" "Not just fight," she said, leaning forward. "We can reclaim everything, episodes, add contracts, maybe even damages." My chest tightened with something dangerous hope, but she raised a hand. "Don't celebrate yet. You'll need evidence. Every message, file, edit log. And you'll need to play the long game. Mara's got PR muscle. She'll spin this fast." I nodded slowly. "Then I'll spin faster." June smiled. "Now you're talking like a producer." By the weekend, the loud part was trending again, but this time, the narrative had split. Mara's fans called me bitter. My listeners called her a thief. The industry blogs called it the podcast Civil War. I didn't read them. Instead, I stayed in my studio, gathering proof like ammunition. Emails, shared drive logs, unedited recordings with timestamps, Slack messages. Every "trust me" she'd ever texted. Each click through the folders felt like unpeeling old skin. Every soundbite, every signature, another slice of betrayal, but also another thread back to my power. At 2 a.m., I found something buried deep. An audio file labeled Add, Final, Mix, MP3. It was a sponsor reel. Mara had sent out the version that convinced Atlas to back her. I hit play. "Hey, it's Mara Vale," her voice purred. "Welcome to the loud part, the show where not we." And under her monologue, faint but audible, was my laugh. My literal laugh from a raw take, repurposed as background color. My voice ghosted into her pitch. I sat there, shaking. It wasn't just theft, it was ventriloquism. I saved the file, backed it up, labeled it Evidence, Audio, 1. Then I opened my notes and started outlining a new episode. Not a defense, a declaration. Title: The Stolen Frequency. It wouldn't just be about Mara. It would be about every creative partnership that turned parasitic. Every woman told to stay quiet and take the credit behind the scenes. Every producer erased by someone louder. But before I could finish typing the outline, my phone buzzed again. Private number. Voicemail. I hit play. Mara's voice, low, serious this time. "Rhea, you need to stop. There's more going on than you know. You're not the only one who can lose everything." Then, click. Silence. I replayed it. Twice. What did she mean, more going on than you know? I looked at my laptop. the folders, the evidence, the thousands of listeners waiting for my next move. Somewhere in that silence, a new thought crept in, small and cold. What if Mara wasn't working alone? That voicemail haunted me all night. More going on than you know. The words echoed every time my computer hummed, every time the studio's fluorescent light flickered. I barely slept. By sunrise, Austin's sky was bruised orange, and my inbox was a battlefield. Half the subject lines were from journalists, asking for my side. The other half were from anonymous accounts, some defending Mara, some threatening me. One message just said, "You're not fighting her, you're fighting the people behind her." I didn't know what that meant, but I knew who would. June, when I got to her office downtown, glass walls, plants that looked too healthy to be real. She already had 2 monitors lit up with case files. "Morning," I croaked. She didn't look up. "Someone's scared," she said flatly. That voicemail wasn't an accident. Saturday, you heard it?" June nodded, then hit play. The message sounded even colder on her speakers. "She's warning you, or trying to." Who could she mean by more going on? June turned her monitor toward me. "Let's find out." She pulled up a sponsorship contract, Atlas Mattresses. Then another one, Meal Hero, the meal kit company. And another Soundpeak, a recording tech startup. All 3 had signed new deals in the past 2 weeks. All 3 listed the same marketing consultant, Vale Media Group. Only there was no such registered company. June typed fast, scrolling through databases until she stopped. Then, she turned the screen to me again. A single name appeared under Vale Media Group LLC. Not Mara's. David Kettering. My stomach dropped. David Kettering, Atlas's VP of Brand Partnerships. The man who'd sent us flowers when the loud part hit 1 million listeners. The man who told me, "We're in this for the long run, Rhea." "He's the shadow partner," June said. "He set up a private LLC to funnel ad money through Mara. It's clean on the surface, legal, even, but it's laundering ownership. He has a stake in every deal she signs." "So he's funding her takeover?" "Exactly, and if we can prove that, we can blow both of them up." My heart pounded. I thought of the night Mara called, her voice too calm, too rehearsed. Of course she had backup. She always did. June leaned forward. "We need proof. Hard proof. Emails, payments, wire transfers, something that ties Kettering directly to the content he didn't disclose ownership of." "And where do we get that?" She smiled faintly. "You still have access to the old Atlas Dropbox, right?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah. I set it up. Then tonight," she said, "you go digging." That evening, my apartment felt different. Not like home, like Mission Control. I brewed coffee, dimmed the lights, and logged into the Atlas Dropbox. The folder tree looked innocent enough. Campaigns, contracts, creative. I clicked invoices. Most were standard recording dates, ad fees, signatures. But one folder stood out, internal adjustments. Locked. Password protected. I tried Atlas 2023, denied. Vale Media, denied. Password 1, 2, 3, denied. Then I remembered something. Mara's dog's name, Bowie. She used it for everything. Bowie 88. Unlocked. Inside were PDFs labeled invoice corrections, each showing money routed through Vale Media Group LLC, and signatures from both Mara and Kettering. Tens of thousands. Paid for consulting. Consulting for my show. I took screenshots, saved everything twice, one local, one encrypted drive. Then, near the bottom, I saw one more file. NDA, Rhea, PDF. My blood chilled. I opened it. It was a draft NDA. My name already filled in. The clause read, "Recipient agrees to cease public commentary and transfer all media assets to Vale Media Group in exchange for a one-time payment of $85,000. They were planning to buy my silence. The timestamp said drafted 3 days ago. 3. Before my upload went live, they'd prepared for me to break. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I froze, half expecting another voicemail, but this time, it was a text. "Nice digging, Rhea. You're in over your head." No name. Just that. I screenshotted it and called June immediately. She answered on the first ring. What happened? I explained everything, the files, the NDA, the text. Send me everything, she said. Now. And Rhea don't respond. Whoever texted you could be tracing location data. I hesitated. Do you think they know I logged in? They do now, she said grimly. My laptop chimed. The Dropbox folder vanished, deleted live, right in front of me, file by file. Like someone was erasing the crime as I watched. I cursed under my breath. June's voice came sharp through the phone. Did you get backups? Yes. Everything. Good. Then let them burn the evidence. We've got it archived. But my hands were still shaking, because if they knew I'd found the files, they knew where to find me. That night, I slept in 30-second fragments, waking to every car that passed. When dawn came, I made coffee and stared out the window. The sky the color of old newsprint. I didn't just want to win anymore. I wanted to expose. June called at 8 a.m. sharp. Ready to make a statement? She asked. I hesitated. Will that make it worse? Probably, she said. But it'll also make it public. And once it's public, they can't bury it. So I recorded. Again? Hey, it's Rhea. You've heard one side, here's the rest. I told them everything without names at first. Then with them, Mara, Kettering, Vale Media Group, the fake invoices, the NDA, the silence for sale plan. It was raw, furious, and perfectly timed. Because halfway through my recording, I got a notification. Breaking. Atlas VP David Kettering resigns amid internal audit. I laughed, shaky, disbelieving. The dominoes were falling. But before I could upload the episode, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered, heart pounding. A woman's voice. Smooth. Controlled. Miss Santos. I represent Vale Media Group. This is a courtesy call to inform you that if you publish defamatory content, you will be held personally liable for damages exceeding 6 figures. Who is this? The voice paused. Then, Chase Lorne, PR director, and Mara's fiancé. My breath caught. Fiancé? Yes, he said lightly. Surprised? Don't be. You were always good at stories, Rhea. Just not good at seeing the endings. The line went dead. Fiancé. That explained everything. The coordination, the leaks, the sudden access to my show's accounts. I stared at the mic in front of me. The one I'd bought secondhand when the loud part was just a dream. And for the first time, I didn't feel afraid. I felt ready. Because if Mara thought she'd stolen my voice, she hadn't heard me scream yet. I clicked publish. Within 3 hours, the stolen frequency hit #1 on Spotify's trending list. Within 6, every entertainment blog had picked it up. By the end of the day, Mara's sponsors were gone. Her PR firm had locked their socials, and Vale Media Group was trending with the words fraud, scam, and cover-up. But fame cuts both ways. At 11:42 p.m., I got a final message from a blocked number. You think you won, but you don't know what we kept. Attached, a single audio file, no description. No sender. I hovered my cursor over play, and the second I heard the first line, my own voice saying something I didn't remember, recording, my heart stopped. It was me, saying something that could destroy everything. At first, I thought it was a prank. Someone splicing my old recordings, trying to rattle me. But the more I listened, the colder I felt. The voice was undeniably mine. Not distorted. Not deep-faked. My actual tone, my rhythm, the way I pause before hitting hard truths. If they ever found out, I'd be finished. But I had to fake the story it wasn't real. That's what the clip said. 10 seconds. Enough to make me sound like a fraud. Enough to undo everything. My hands were shaking when I called June. She answered groggy 2:30 a.m. But when she heard the audio, she sat up fast. Where did you get this? Blocked number. Text message. They said. You don't know what we kept. Send it over. I did. She played it through studio monitors, looping it again and again. Then she exhaled through her teeth. This is an edit, she said. But a good one. They used AI voice stitching on a raw feed. But it's my voice. Pieces of it, yes. Words, you said, cut and rearranged, like a ransom note with syllables. My stomach turned. I remembered all those nights when Mara would stay late, cleaning up dialogue after I left. All those drive backups she insisted she'd encrypt for security. She'd been building this trap for months. By dawn, my name was trending again. Not for victory this time, but scandal. Was the loud part built on lies? Fans question Rhea Santos's authenticity. New leaked audio reveals fake confessions. They didn't even need to verify it. The soundbite was enough. The internet doesn't wait for context. It crowns and cancels in the same breath. My comments were a battlefield. Some defended me, but most didn't care about truth. They wanted drama, betrayal, blood, and Mara. Oh, Mara. She played it perfectly. By 9 a.m., she'd posted a sleek, tearful video. Soft piano, muted lighting, sincerity dialed up to 11. "I'm devastated," she said, voice trembling just enough. "I trusted Rhea. I believed in her stories. I didn't know they were fabricated. Fabricated. She used my word against me." She ended the clip with a single tear, then whispered, "I forgive her." Forgive. The dagger dressed as grace. I watched it 3 times before I realized I was laughing. Not because it was funny, because it was flawless. She'd flipped the board. Again. When I called June, she was already strategizing. "Don't post yet," she said. "They want you to react emotionally. We'll do a forensic voice analysis first. We'll prove it's fake. But that could take days," I said. "By then, the damage is done." She hesitated. Then we changed the conversation. That afternoon, I set up my mic again. No script this time. Just me, raw, furious, alive. "Hey, it's Rhea," I began. "Apparently I faked my own show. Apparently I'm a liar, so let's talk about what's real." I played a portion of the leaked clip live, then explained exactly how it could have been edited. I talked about AI voice cloning, about consent, about creative theft in the digital age. Then I said the line that would anchor everything. "If you can fake a voice, you can fake a villain." The episode went up under a new title, The Fabricated Frequency. Within an hour, creators, journalists, and even tech experts started dissecting the clip online. Audio engineers analyzed waveforms, proving inconsistencies in breathing, tone, and mic distance. The tide shifted slowly, but perceptibly. By evening, hashtags like number Justice for Rhea and number AI Reality Check started trending. Still, Mara stayed silent, which scared me more than her lies, because Mara never stayed silent unless she was about to strike. Around 10 p.m., June called again, her tone razor sharp. "Rhea, we have a problem." "What now?" "Vale Media Group just filed for emergency injunction. They're claiming you altered their audio to make it seem fake." I laughed bitterly. "So now I'm the deep fake?" "They're saying you manipulated their files, hacked into private data, and published defamation." "That's absurd." "Of course it is," June said, "but absurd things can still stick. They're pushing for a temporary takedown of your show." The words hit like a punch. My show. The only thing I had left. I closed my eyes. How bad is it? "They'll get a hearing within 48 hours. If the judge sides with them, every episode with your name gets pulled, pending review." "So they silence me legally," I said. "Elegant." June paused. "We'll counter. But we need something stronger. Proof that Mara knew the audio was doctored. Any hint she planned it." My mind flashed back to the deleted Slack number Solo Vision and that pinned message. "No leaks. Rhea is risk-averse. We're moving fast." If those chats were gone, maybe not everything was lost. Cloud storage always leaves ghosts. I grabbed my external drive, plugged it in, and opened an old backup. The one I'd made months before. I searched for Slack cache files. Folders blinked open like a memory reanimating. And there it was. MSG 542. JSON. I opened it and froze. A conversation between Mara and Chase. Dated 2 months before our fallout. "Mara. Got Rhea's raw takes. Gonna start pulling clean samples tonight. Chase. Use the AI filter we tested. Need believable phrasing. Mara. If this works, she'll implode on her own. My throat went dry. It wasn't just setup, it was premeditated sabotage. They'd built the fake audio months in advance, planning to release it if I ever turned against them. I copied the file, encrypted it, and called June immediately. Got it, I said breathlessly. Proof. Written proof. Email it now, she said. This changes everything. But before I could hit send, my screen flickered, then went black. Power outage. Except, the hallway light outside was still on. Only my apartment was dark. I stood, heartbeat thudding in my ears. Then, knocking. 3 sharp, deliberate knocks. I walked to the door slowly, holding my phone like a weapon. Who is it? Silence. Then, a voice I recognized, smug, smooth, familiar. Don't make this harder, Rhea. Mara. She was outside my door. The knocking didn't stop. 3 beats. Pause. Then again. Softer this time, like she knew I was listening from the other side. Mara, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you, she replied. The peephole distorted her into a ghost blonde hair glowing under the hallway light, lips parted like she'd practiced the expression in a mirror. She looked calm. Too calm. I just want to talk, she said. No lawyers, no PR, no recording. That's funny, I said, glancing at my phone's voice memo app already running. You suddenly hate recording? Silence. Then a small smile I could hear. Open the door, Rhea. I didn't. Instead, I cracked the door's chain lock and let her see only half my face. What do you want? She tilted her head. You uploaded again. Of course I did. It's called telling the truth. Mara exhaled slowly. You think you're a hero, don't you? But you're playing with something bigger than us. There are people, real investors who want this buried. They won't care who started it. There's always someone bigger. But they don't scare me. You should be scared. Something in her tone made my stomach twist. Not a threat. A warning. David's gone, I said, watching her eyes. He resigned. Her jaw tightened. Yeah, and he's blaming me. Says I blackmailed him into the deal. He's already lawyering up. I let that hang in the air. Maybe you did. Her eyes flashed. I said nothing, let the silence do its work. She stepped closer to the door. You were supposed to share it with me, Rhea. The fame, the pressure, the chaos. You built this cage, and I just learned how to unlock it. I almost laughed. Unlock it? You burned it down, because you wouldn't let anyone else in, she snapped. I watched you obsess over every syllable, every breath. You didn't want a partner, you wanted a mirror that never talked back. That stung. Because somewhere deep down, maybe there was a sliver of truth buried under all her poison. But I wasn't about to give her that satisfaction. You stole from me, I said quietly. You took what we built and rewrote history. She looked almost sad. Then she whispered, I didn't steal your story, Rhea. I just edited it. The air between us went cold. I stared at her, this woman, who once called me sister, now spitting philosophy like it was absolution. You sound proud, I said. No, she murmured. I sound tired. Her eyes darted to my laptop across the room, the dark screen reflecting the hallway light. You still have it, don't you? She asked. The chat logs. The proof. I do. She nodded slowly. Then you already know it's not just me. Chase isn't some side character, and Kettering's just the middleman. There's a whole machine behind this. They use creators like us as faces. When one breaks, they replace them. She stepped closer until the chain pulled taut. You think you're fighting me, Rhea, but you're fighting the system. And that system eats women like us for breakfast. Her voice cracked at the edges, just enough to sound real. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to, but then I remembered the NDA draft. The doctored audio, the months of betrayal, dressed up as teamwork. Nice monologue, I said. You should pitch it as a podcast. Her smile returned, sharp again. Still deflecting. That's your problem, you confuse silence for power. Funny, I said. You confuse manipulation for talent. She laughed, low and bitter. You're not going to win this. I already did, I said, letting my hand drift to my phone. Because you're confessing. Right now. Her eyes flicked to the screen, red waveform pulsing. She froze. You're recording this? I didn't answer. For a moment, I saw it all, her practiced composure shatter, her smile falter, her breath hitch. Then she whispered, You think you're clever? I think I finally learned from the best. Mara's jaw flexed. Then she stepped back into the hallway, the glow from the lights cutting a shadow across her face. You don't understand, Rhea, she said softly. This isn't over. If that recording gets out, people will vanish. Accounts will close. And you'll go down with them. Then let's all go down together. She stared at me a moment longer, then turned and walked away, heels clicking like punctuation marks on marble. I closed the door, locked it, slid to the floor. My hands were trembling, but not from fear this time, from adrenaline, because now I had what I needed, her own words, her confession, her warning. And beneath all that noise, something else had clicked into place. She wasn't lying about everything. There was someone bigger, someone pulling strings from the dark. As I listened back to the recording, I caught a faint sound under her voice. A second voice, maybe from a Bluetooth headset. Male. Deep. Barely audible. I boosted the volume. Get out of there, Mara, now. It wasn't Kettering. It wasn't Chase. It was a voice I didn't recognize, and it had said her name like it owned it. I boosted the audio until the static hurt. That voice, the one beneath Mara's, wasn't supposed to exist. Get out of there, Mara, now. I ran it through a spectrogram filter. Male, mid-40s, expensive microphone, faint office echo. Corporate, controlled, confident. I sent the file to June. Within minutes, she called back. I ran voice matching software, she said. It's not Chase, not Kettering, but guess what? What? It matches 80% with an old deposition transcript. Board of Directors, Atlas Holdings, CEO, Richard Lorne. Lorne, I whispered, as in Chase Lorne. His father, June finished. I sank back in my chair. The pieces finally fit. Mara wasn't the architect. She was the pawn. By the next morning, the air in Austin felt electric, thick with October heat and scandal. The press was still chasing the AI audio story, but now there was blood in the water, rumors of corporate manipulation, shell companies, shadow funding. I wasn't done yet. June and I decided on one final move: controlled exposure. We'd drop everything: the emails, the voice logs, the chat files, and the hidden audio of Lauren's command. But we'd do it through a live-streamed episode. No editing, no cuts. Just me. We set up in the studio, where the loud part was born, bare brick walls, hanging Edison bulbs, cables like veins across the floor. June handled legal prep in the background while I checked the mic. I caught my reflection in the glass. Older, tired, but solid. My voice had survived the noise. At 8 p.m., I hit go live. Hey, it's Rhea. The chat exploded instantly, tens of thousands, waiting, watching, typing hearts and fire emojis and skeptical question marks. I breathed once, then began. You've heard lies, you've heard edits. Tonight, you'll hear everything else. I played the recovered chat log first. Mara and Chase conspiring to use my voice, line by line. Then the AI clip, side by side with the forensic analysis showing mismatched frequencies. Then, the final piece, the male voice. Get out of there, Mara, now. The waveform glowed across the screen. This, I said quietly, is Richard Lorne, CEO of Atlas Holdings, the man funding Vale Media Group, the man who tried to silence both of us. The live chat froze, then flooded, Holy's asterisk asterisk. She got him. This is insane. Asterisk. June sent me a text midstream. Keep talking. They're panicking. PR blackout at Atlas HQ. So I did. I told the whole story: how we built the show from nothing, how greed rewrote friendship, how women's voices get commodified until they scream to be heard. And when my throat went raw, I ended with this: You can take my show. You can fake my sound. But you can't rewrite truth, not when we record it ourselves. Then I closed the stream. For a moment, silence. Then my phone lit up. Notifications like fireworks. CNN wants a statement. Spotify trending #. Mara Vale's account deactivated. And finally, an email from an anonymous address. Subject line: You were never supposed to win. Attachment: none. Just one line of text. Check your feed. I opened YouTube and froze. Someone, probably Lauren's people, had leaked a different video. It was security footage. Grainy. Time-stamped from the night Mara came to my apartment, but it was edited cut to look like I was threatening her. My voice spliced again, tone twisted into rage. Get out before I make you, it said. Comments poured in before I could blink. Half disbelief, half outrage. They were fighting back in real time. June called instantly. They're trying to flip the narrative. We'll counter, but you have to stay offline. Let the data team handle it. I can't stay silent again, I said. Rhea, listen to me, she said, voice breaking through static. This isn't about winning anymore. It's about surviving. She was right. But survival felt like surrender. That night, I stayed off the internet, watching the city lights flicker across my window. The war wasn't just about truth anymore. It was about who could shout the loudest in the noise. And somewhere deep down, I realized I might not be able to shout forever. 2 weeks later, it was over. Or as over as these things ever get. Richard Lorne stepped down to focus on family. Atlas settled quietly out of court. Vale Media Group dissolved. Mara disappeared from the public eye. Rumor said she'd moved to LA, writing under a pseudonym. Sometimes, late at night, I'd still get anonymous DMs that just said, "You did what I couldn't." I never replied. June got me a deal with a small indie platform, clean, ethical, transparent. They wanted me to relaunch the Loud part under my own name, but I didn't, not right away. For the first time in years, I didn't record anything. I walked by the river instead, fed the ducks, listened to strangers talk without a microphone between us. The quiet scared me at first, then it healed me. One morning, 6 months later, I opened my old recording app again. New file, blank title, and I said, "Hey, it's Rhea. I used to think revenge was about getting even, but maybe it's about getting free." I talked about everything that came after the emails, the therapy, the rebuilding, the choice to step back instead of up. I ended it softly. Sometimes, the loudest thing you can do is start over. I uploaded it with no marketing, no tags, just a plain title, The Quiet Part. Within a week, it found an audience. Not millions this time, just enough. Enough to remind me that people still listen when you speak from truth, not fury. Months later, June and I met for coffee. She handed me a manila folder, settlement papers, clean and final. "You're officially clear," she said. "All debts, all claims." I nodded, smiling faintly. "Feels weird, doesn't it? Peace. Earned peace never feels natural," she said. We talked about everything except the past, until she stood to leave. Then she hesitated. "You know," she said, "when they scrubbed Vale's servers, one file survived." I frowned. "What file?" She smiled softly. "An unedited audio draft. The very first episode you ever recorded, the one before Mara joined." I blinked. "That's impossible. I lost that drive years ago." She slid a small USB stick across the table. "Someone uploaded it anonymously to our cloud. No metadata, just a note." "What note?" She looked at me, eyes kind. "You deserve to keep your own story." I didn't ask who sent it. I didn't need to. Maybe Mara. Maybe someone who'd finally learned that editing truth doesn't erase it. That night, I played it. The audio was rough, full of coughs and mic pops, and the clumsy hope of a woman who hadn't yet been burned. "Hey," my younger voice said, bright and unsure. "This is Rhea. Welcome to the Loud part, because some stories can't stay quiet." I smiled, then hit record. "Hey," I said again, older now. "This is Rhea. Welcome back. Revenge doesn't always sound like thunder. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, 'I'm still here.'"